You may have seen or heard many people online saying that God is the author of evil. The Bible itself says so. In Isaiah 45:7, this is what it says. This is the passage in question. There's a few others, but the main one is going to be this one. It says in Isaiah 45:7, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do these things. It also says in Jeremiah 18:11, here's another one. Now therefore go to and speak to the men of Judah and go to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I frame evil against you and devise a device. Or even in Lamentations 3:38, out of the mouth of the Most High proceedeth not evil and good? This is the problem that's being raised by people online. Because the Bible and other places like 1 John 1:5 say something completely different. This is the message we have heard from him and proclaimed to you, that God is light and in him is no darkness at all. The Bible claims that God doesn't even look at evil. This is in Habakkuk 1:13. You who are purer eyes than to see evil and cannot look at wrong. These are the claims that are made online. God is the author of evil. The Bible contradicts itself here. How do we reconcile this? Well, one thing you'll notice about these people online that use these verses to try to attack Christianity and say that God is the author of evil, you'll notice that they only use one version of the Bible. Only one. It's the King James Version. A 400-year-old translation of the Bible. They will use no other to prove their point because no other Bible says this. King James translators didn't always get it right, and Old English words sometimes have different meanings. But it comes down to this. The Hebrew word ra, which means evil, or it means calamity, destruction, depends on the context. So what context is this verse in? Well, let's look at it real quick. Isaiah 45:7. It says, I am the Lord and there is no other. I form light and create darkness. Look at those two opposites there, light, darkness. We go on. I form light and create darkness. I make well-being or prosperity and create calamity. Now, in the context, the right word here is probably not moral evil. Better translation is calamity or destruction. You have well-being, prosperity, and then calamity, destruction. God does these things. Now, does God bringing calamity or destruction on people an evil thing? Well, no. God executes perfect justice. Any calamity that ever comes upon a people, God is judging those people rightly. And if you look in the context of any of these verses, it's always pointing to destruction or calamity or something that is bad for the people it's coming upon. So if God's about to rain fire and brimstone on me, I'm going to look at that and say, oh, this is bad. You get it? So the word ra in Hebrew really depends on the context, because the Bible makes it clear that God is morally perfect. If we look in Deuteronomy 32:4, it says, The rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are justice. A God of faithfulness and without iniquity, just and upright is he. And because God is morally perfect and completely, perfectly just, he must judge sin. So that's why calamity coming on these people isn't a moral act of evil on God's part. We see an example of God's perfect justice in Revelation 20, verse 13. It says, And the sea gave up their dead who were in it. Death and Hades gave up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one of them, according to what they had done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. This is God's perfect justice on the wicked. And you might say, well, God permits evil at least. That's an act of evil on his part, right? God made evil possible. And the possibility of evil is actually a good thing because it means free choice. We have free choice. So God makes evil possible, but human beings make evil actual. There is no direct act of moral evil on God's part. That is us. And even though there is the possibility of evil and human beings act on that possibility of evil, God always brings an ultimate good from that evil. We see an example in Genesis 50, verse 20. It says, As for you, you meant evil against me, But God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. So there you have it, guys. Don't let anybody give you this nonsense that God is the author of evil. That's not what the scriptures teach. That's not what the Hebrew says. So the next time you see one of these videos popping up online, and they point to Isaiah 45:7, saying that God is the author of evil, just tell them to go to the Hebrew and get off the King James Version, because when they do, then their argument is completely destroyed. If this video was helpful to you guys, please drop a like on the video and subscribe for more content like this, helping you think biblically, defend the faith, and live out the gospel.